Greetings and salutations to all of my dear friends out there in the podcast sphere. My name is Jeff Long. I'm here for another fantastic episode of the Death, Taxes, and Sports podcast, episode 137. I'm here with one of the day ones from the original start of our podcast, a very, very good friend, fellow Buckeye fan. We are going to win the national title and beat Michigan. Mr. LP from a Cincy Fan Talking podcast. Sir, how are you? Glad to have you back. It has been probably over a year since you've been on our show, sir.
Yeah, it's been a minute, man. Going through some stuff, just hanging in there. Just started podcasting back up last week, so jumping back into it, man. Happy to be here. Loving the intro you guys got. Doing big things now. Feeling
We
that
try
intro. I was over here like bobbing my head to it, like
Hey, man, we try to be like you, man. We trying to be like you. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to step in
ah,
the Man, we got it, man. But there's been a lot that's been going on in the sports world, man. Finishing up with the Stanley Cup. We got a little bit of NBA draft right now. I know we're chopping it up about that. NFL starting up soon and NBA free agency. I know we had the Stanley Cup and all that, but we got to get to this exciting news within the NBA, within the NBA's sphere, and hopefully Gary can get in on this, man. This trade for Mikal Bridges, man, 4 unprotected firsts, a top 4 protected 25 first rounder via Milwaukee, and a
mhm.
2025 second rounder for Mikal Bridges and a second round pick. Sir, your thoughts?
Hey, Nick
Yeah.
fans, how y'all doing? Everybody doing okay, Nick fans? I may offend a couple of you, but I'm just being honest. From seeing the Knicks way back in the '90s and seeing them now, I don't expect this to go well. I just don't. Like I feel like they made a really good move right here, but they won't follow it up with the stuff that they need to do to be a championship team. Right now, we're looking at a we're looking at an Eastern Conference Finals team. That's what we're looking at. Until they get some bigs and some people to kind of jump off of that bench and do the dirty work, like a couple more Josh Harts, a couple
Mhm.
more of those guys, and I feel like you're looking at a title contender. I just don't
Okay.
think the Knicks will do that. I don't think they will.
Talk to me though from the X's and O's perspective. Why
Mhm,
do you feel like the on the court? Like talk to me. Like I know you're a
mhm.
basketball head, but what about that fit is not are you not feeling?
I feel like there's too many of the same people. I feel like you got a Michael Bridges and you got an OG Ananobi, and I feel like you're looking at kind of the same skill type, but you need a big to go with those guys. They could be a really legit pick and roll team, and they could be a really good inside outside team if they can get another big to kind of help them out with that. But right now, they have an extremely talented point guard, and they have the wings to surround them, and that's it. Unless Mitchell Robinson comes back and is legitimate, I'm just kind of concerned that they won't be able to do what they need to do. Like,
The first move I would think about doing is getting Weissman because they denounced his rights in Detroit. I think he'd be a perfect fit because he is a. You're right. They have a lot of bigs or not a big. They have a lot of slash wingers, and you're not going to shoot a lot of threes on them. That's for
right,
damn sure. Boston's
right,
going to have a hard time shooting the amount of threes because
hmm,
DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, and as well as Mikal Bridges.
right,
I think the one thing that I would have liked for them to see was adding a more explosive 2 guard with a little bit of height that can score consistently outside of Brunson. And it just all really depends on the kind of pieces how they move. I like it just from the sense of they couldn't wait around.
hmm,
Like you wait around, someone else snags him. I'd rather than make the trade for him because he's durable. He played all 82 games last season.
hmm,
And Paul George is like 34. You're going to pay a guy who's injury prone, is only getting older.
yeah. Mhm. I mean, I'll ask you this though: do you think they gave up too much? Because 5 first round picks is crazy, especially in this climate when you're talking about salary cap and you're looking at luxury tax figures. To give up 5 first rounders, that's a lot of capital.
I mean, you know, you're going to overpay sometimes. You're going to overpay, right? But that's just the way of the game. They had to do something. I like that they kept OG because he's going to miss some games. He missed 21 games last season. Then he
Hmm.
had the hamstring injury. So I think that it's better to make that type of trade and overpay for a cat that's a walking 20 points a game, durable type of cat that you know you can rely on, it was either him or it's going to be Paul George. And I think the upside is greater. And I was surprised by scoring once when he went to the Nets. Now he's not going to have to do that. Now he can be that 3-and-D defender, but I still think they need a couple more bigs, honestly.
Right, I definitely agree with that. I feel like Mitchell Robinson is a really good fit for their team because he doesn't need the ball to succeed. He can get the rebounds, he can get the blocks, he can do all of that, and he doesn't need to score. I feel like they need some other people around them as well. Some more
Yeah.
big folks will help
Good.
them out a lot.
But Mitchell Robinson, the man, he can't stay healthy. Like
Yeah, that's a
it's
problem.
I said from the very beginning that the Nets have a really good opportunity to continue and build on the momentum that they had last year. And I said the first thing was you got to keep OG and you got to keep the core, which is what they do.
Hmm.
They add with Mikal Bridges. They could make another trade at some point during the regular season that can improve their odds. I think perimeter wise, they're going to be a very tough team, but they're going to. I just wish that they could have gotten a more solidified scorer that was at least 6'3" or higher. I really 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 think that, you know what I mean. Like Paul George could have maybe had been that, but he can't stay healthy. So I really honestly think that this was the best that they can do. To be completely honest.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I don't like about the trade, other than giving up 5 first round picks, I think that's a lot. I feel like
Yeah.
they took their window and they kind of went like this to it because of what they did. They have to win now. They have to because that luxury tax is a monster. As Golden State, that window will start closing pretty quick, and they have to win. I won't say immediately, but in the next 2 years, they have to get pretty deep into the playoffs to make this count.
Can they currently constructed? Are they a top three team in the East? And where do you rank them in the pecking order of overall NBA teams in the upper echelon as currently constructed?
Currently constructed with no more moves, I say they're definitely top 10 in the NBA. I wouldn't put them top 5 in the NBA. I would put
Okay.
them top 3 in the East. I would.
Okay. All
I
right.
would put them behind Boston, and I would put them. I know I'm crazy, but behind Philly.
Really? Really?
I still think Philly is
Ooh,
legit. Uh,
really?
they have so many injury concerns, but
Oh,
I
man. Man.
I feel like they're top 2 in the East still, which
Okay.
I feel like doesn't say much about the East.
Okay. I
But
respect it though. I respect it. But if you're Philly though, you see the moves that your rival a couple hours north of by 95 is doing. What do you do now? Like, do you like you? I feel like you have to go after Paul George because Joel Embiid. I'm sorry. Like, if I were them, I would trade Joel Embiid. To be completely honest with you, and I would
mm,
build around. I would build around. What's his face? Um, Point guard. What's his name? I'm
Maxi,
drawing. Yeah, Maxi. I would
Maxi,
just do that because you've had him for 10 years. Embiid missed the first 2 seasons with those foot injuries. He can't make a deep run, man. I think that you gotta not tear it all the way down, but I think you can get some pieces. Joel Embiid, man.
that's tough. It's I
I
put
know.
them top 2 because of Joel Embiid. If they lose him, they're definitely not top 2, no matter who else they bring in. I mean, he's hurt all of the time, and it's so frustrating. But his skill set is just tremendous. He can carry the team if he's not injured. I think Paul George works really well there. I think Klay Thompson works well there as well too.
Okay, and let's talk about Klay Thompson because Klay Thompson, this guy's kind of perfect segue.
Hmm.
If you're Klay Thompson, what do you do? I'm just gonna give it to you. What do you
Oh,
do with Klay Thompson?
if I'm Klay Thompson or if I'm Golden
Yeah,
State.
yeah. If you're Klay Thompson, if you're
If
Klay
I'm
Thompson,
Klay
if I'm Golden
Thompson, my
State, yeah.
my top 3 would be Philly, Orlando, and if they'll have me, OKC. I
Okay,
say
okay,
one of those 3. I think Orlando is so intriguing because they need offense badly. They
yeah.
need offense around Paolo Banchero like a lot. But if they get it, I feel like they can do some damage. They play some really good defense. They just can't score.
Facts. I think the only thing with Orlando is you want to use all your cap space for a guy who's 34 years old who can't play defense, coming off of 2 horrific injuries. I just think that like if it was Klay Thompson maybe before the injuries, I would say absolutely. but they I don't think that they should try to go after a guy just for the sake of going after him when long term he's not going to be able to contribute to what you're looking for. Because if you're Orlando, if you're Houston, if you're San Antonio, you want to try to win out, but you also want to be able to have a place to to sustain. Orlando's not necessarily like the most glamorous like basketball club when it comes to free agency. So I think you got to be careful. And when you have too many of your bigs, as I'm sure you saw, man, against Cleveland, is that when you rely too many on your bigs to provide offense, that creates a
Hmm.
little bit of problem. So I
Right.
definitely agree with the guard perspective.
I agree with that 100%. This is all considering the fact that Clay Thompson's gonna have to take a pay cut. He's gonna have to. Nobody's gonna give him what he's looking for in terms of what Golden State did because that was a different time for him. He was coming off of ridiculous numbers, and it's just not like that now, especially off the injury. If he gets the contract that he has now or something close to it, that would be amazing. Like
Yes.
I don't see anybody paying that.
I mean, like, what would you think is a very comparable deal? Like, I think like a 2 year, like $30 million deal would be fair. Maybe as high as 40, but I don't see him as more than a 20 million a year guy. He's not a 30, $40 million player.
Like if I'm Clay, I'm asking 4 years, 40 million. I'm expecting and taking 2 years, 20 million, but I'm starting high, and they're gonna have to just give me a low number, and then I'll take that. But the thing is about sports, it's a business, and you're worth what somebody will pay you. So if one person to pay you 60 million, you're worth 60 million. Like that's how it goes. So he's
Yeah.
gonna shoot for that high number and see if somebody's gonna pay for it, but I don't think anybody will.
Yeah, Clay Thompson's just such an intriguing guy because you look at the numbers, just high level. I mean, he averaged about 19, 5 and 5 or something along that. You would think that that is good, but the way that he played in the last game to end the season just wasn't good.
Hmm.
And like to him, like you got to ask yourself, like he's made 270, 275 million in his career. Hopefully, he
Right.
saved his money. Um, to me, it's like you're a 4 time champion. To me, I would just want to go try to get as much money as I possibly can because
Hmm.
you played in the best backcourt. You have nothing left to prove. You're a 4 time NBA champ, perennial All Star, All NBA type player. You've made a crap ton of money. But to me, why not Houston? Why not Houston, man? A team that even if he's coming off the bench, like like maybe like a 4 year, $80 million deal, man. He'd be. Listen, they need shooting, right? Houston,
They do.
maybe.
They do.
So
Um, I I like Houston for him. It's more him accepting his new role. I don't think he's gonna accept where he is in Houston. I think he feels like
yeah,
he still has a little bit more left in the tank, and he wants to go somewhere where he can prove that and kind of get on the big stage again. I'm not sure if Houston is quite there yet,
yeah. Houston
so
is
they
Houston,
may be
man.
a year or two away.
Do we feel that Houston is moving in the right? I mean, they went 41-41 last year, I believe, and they
Yeah.
made a pretty decent run. Do we feel that? Do we feel that they? Where would how would you describe the state of the Houston Rockets in 3 words?
Um, very optimistic. Period.
Okay, okay.
Like it's kind of why I hate what the NBA did with the whole play-in stuff because it makes people feel like they have a chance when they kind of sort of don't. Houston's a couple of years away, but because of where they finished and they got so close to the play-in, they feel like they're further away than what they are, further closer than what they are, and they're not. They're just not there. The Western Conference is an animal, and for them to get where they want to go, they're gonna need a couple more pieces, and they're not quite there yet. But
Fair.
because they got so close to the play in, their fans feel like they are. It's just a tricky
I
time to
just
be an
have to.
NBA fan.
Hey, Houston's a great city, and you don't have that state income tax. Houston's a great city. I love Houston.
Indeed.
Yeah, no doubt. H Town, Beyonce, hometown of Beyonce knows herself. I wanna switch it to Paul George a little bit.
Hmm.
If you're Paul George, man, do you stay? Do you go? You're Paul George. What do you want to do?
If I'm PG, I gotta go. I can't keep hitching my wheel to Kawhi George. I mean, my fault, Kawhi Leonard, because I don't know what's gonna happen from year to year. He's one of the best players to do it, but he's always hurt. He's like Joel Embiid, but smaller, pretty much. And it's like if I keep hitching my wagon to you, and we're not getting where we need to be, I'm wasting all of my years doing that. I could go somewhere else and possibly kind of get some more mileage out of my 34, 35, 36-year-old self. So if I'm PG, I gotta go. Like, I love you, Kawhi, but I gotta go.
Does he go to Golden State? If you're Golden State, do you try to make a run for him and drop Klay Thompson?
God no. Like, the thing about Golden State is their luxury tax numbers are ridiculous. At some point, they have to get under that luxury tax because they have to pay Moody, they have to pay Kaminga, and they have these ridiculous numbers. You can't pay Paul George what you need to pay him and still stay under that luxury tax because you're just bleeding money at this point. At some point, you got to say, you know what? This isn't working. We did what we had to do. We got our rings. Let's rebuild. And if you pick up Paul George, you're not doing that. You're still kind of stuck in the mud, running sixth, seventh, and eighth place. And where's that getting us?
So if you're Paul George, then what's the ideal fit?
I'm loving Philly for him because he doesn't have to play first banana. He doesn't have to play second banana. He can play third fiddle, play great defense, get 16, 17, 18 points a game, save himself for the playoffs, and then just do damage. He can really be playoff P. He could really do that. He could play third banana there and do very well. I say Philly.
Philly. I think Philly makes the most sense. I mean, they have the most draft capital, but Philly, man,
Mm.
they got to get rid of Tobias Harris, dog. Like Tobias Harris. I mean, he's a 25, $30 million cat that's just an absolute no show, and he should be a matchup nightmare. 6'9", 7 foot wingspan. Um, I mean, he's a very mid level type player that should be giving you 15 to 18 and 15 points, 7 rebounds a game, man. But 0 points in some games. Tobias Harris, where are you, buddy?
Every everything you said, exclamation point. I mean, it's so frustrating to see him run around the court with his wingspan and his skill set and score like 6 points, 8 points. It's crazy. He's one of the reasons why Philly can't get to where they need to go because it seems like they do so well in the regular season, but all of these pieces that they have, they just kind of fall off and not do what they need to do. And Tobias Harris is like public enemy number one as far as I'm concerned with that.
So now you build. Now you have Paul George, but you're the GM. What would be the? I'm asking you to put your GM hat on here. Like
Okay.
if you were him, if you were what's his face? I cannot remember homeboy's name today. It's been a long day. Maury is his
Daryl
last
Morey.
name. Daryl Morey. You're
Hmm.
Daryl Morey. What is the dream starting lineup going into the 2024-2025 season?
The dream starting lineup
Yeah, if you can, within parameters, of course.
within the parameters. All right. So we got Maxi running a one. We got Paul George somewhere running around the three or the four, one of those. A healthy Joel Embiid. Keyword healthy. And from there, I'm trying to think who's running the two and that 3/4. Um, if they could get Clay, he would be a great two guard for them. I feel like he
Okay.
really would. So
All
you
right.
got Maxi, you got Thompson, you got Paul George, you have I'm blanking. You got
Yes, sir.
Embiid, and
Okay.
then for that four, I need a rebounder. I need somebody that can go get it, be unselfish. Basically, I need a three and D guy. I
Okay.
need a tall three and D guy.
Okay. All right.
Who
I like
could
that.
that be?
We'll leave that, we'll fill that in the blank, and you
Hmm.
let me know when you're ready to sign him.
All right,
You know, JJ Redick, sir. JJ Redick. Uh
I know.
talk to me, man. I'm
Uh
just like I'm like, okay, we go from two coaches with NBA head coaching experience or even being an assistant to a guy that now has to learn on the job. I'm a Duke fan, so I'm happy. Um, but JJ Redick, man, talk to me. JJ freaking Redick.
if I was like a Lakers fanatic, I would have broken my phone when I saw this. I mean, you go from Darvin Ham to JJ Redick. Why? Like, what are we doing? This it's just I don't think it's a really good fit. You're taking somebody who and he hasn't been an assistant coach either, right?
No,
So this
yes.
this is just like his first step up into the big leagues. it's an amazingly bad decision, and it's prefaced by so many times where other teams did this and it hasn't worked out. I would just love to ask the Lakers folks, like, what were you thinking? Like, what are you doing here? What has he done to prove to you that he can handle the bright lights of working and living and coaching in LA, where that big bright light just kind of zooms in on you for preseason games? They're going to analyze this guy's preseason lineup and skewer this man. That's just like preseason. Wait till it gets to regular season. He's like game number 17, and they're asking him why Austin Reeves isn't getting like 32 minutes a game. And he's looking like, why do you care? Because you're in LA, buddy. We care about all of this stuff. And I just don't think it's a good look.
No, I'm with
It's
you, man. Yeah, no, dude, I'm with you. I think the one thing is they have championship expectations, but this is not a roster that is going to allow you to do that. This
mm-hmm.
is the conventional wisdom for any Lakers fan was like, okay, great, we made it to the Western Conference Finals and we made the play in as a 7 seed without LeBron and AD playing the majority of the season, missing games. They get back, we make some trades, then we can make a run. We're like, all right, we got Gabe Vincent signed. We have Rudy Hachimura, who I think is a little bit overrated at this point,
A little
and
bit.
Austin Reeves, right? The two most important players outside of AD and LeBron were both Rudy Hachimura and Austin Reeves, and then D'Angelo Russell. This team with both LeBron and AD playing 70 games apiece still only managed to get the 7th seed this season. So,
And that's how it works.
right? So it's like then they're talking about giving LeBron a 3-year, $160 million contract. And he's going to be 41, making $58 million a year. Like, from a basketball sense, this roster is not setting up JJ Redick to succeed.
No, not really. And that's the thing that really bothers me about this. Darvin Ham did what he could with this roster the way it was constructed, and he got the boot to bring in JJ Redick. Not somebody else with experience with kind of rosters and flux and things like that. No, let's bring in somebody who has no clue what to do because we saw him talking on ESPN. Let's run him out there. We'll be fine. No, it's not gonna work out the way they wanted to. I mean, I just don't get it.
No,
Like,
it doesn't make sense. Like I feel like the Lakers and the Suns are both in the same situation. Whereas, like at least the Lakers didn't try to build like a big three and sign a bunch of veteran contract players like the Heat did
hmm
back in 2011.
right?
Completely different type of basketball now, and it's like okay, Suns, we fire one coach. Now we bring in Budenholzer. I'm like, it's still going to be the same goddamn situation. Like this is a very underwhelming roster. So my question here is like, at what point do we start to look at these GMs, the ones that are making the personnel decisions? Like, why aren't they getting the same level of criticism as the coach?
It's how it goes in the NBA and in Major League Baseball and in football. The coaches take the hit, and then the players, and then after a while, then you start looking at the GM and you start looking at upper level management. But they don't take the hit at first. I do not know why. It's like some kind of invisible force field they have where everything just deflects to the coach and then deflects to the players. It's kind of weird. I don't think I can make moves like this in my profession and still have a job. Like I just don't. Like
I
me
mean,
as a teacher, I just don't see how I could be like, oh, you know what, my lesson plan didn't work. Let me go ask this person that works at 7-Eleven and let them work on my lesson plan for me. No, they don't have
facts.
experience, but they can pull the slushy out, so it's all good.
Right.
Like that
Exactly.
won't work for me, but it seems to work for them. I don't get it. Like,
And just because being here in Phoenix in the area of the Valley of the Sun, these Phoenix Suns, like I felt like they signed a deal with the devil when they made a terrible trade for Bradley Beal for a cat who hasn't played more than 65 games since I think 2017. And has a mega 5-year, $250 million contract that he was going into year two of. And he's going to be making $55 million next year, and is not going to be an all NBA player because he doesn't qualify for 65 games.
hmm
Then Stephen A. Smith talks about KD wants out right now. So you say KD leaves. State of the Suns in general. Go off. Your thoughts. Phoenix Suns. KD.
the Suns got stuck in like a 2012 time warp. where they were like, you know what, we're gonna get the three best players we can, and then just get some mid-level exceptions and work everything else out. I mean, it worked in 2011 for LeBron in the game because it's a totally different style of ball they were playing back then. It's not like that now. You can't just build around three people. You're gonna need a couple of solid pieces, and then you're gonna need some really good players to work around. They don't have to be the best players, but they have to be the best players for your system. The Suns don't have a system.
Nope.
And since they don't
Nope.
have a system, they don't have players to work that system because there's no system. They basically did what we do on the hoop court and said, let's just get the five best players and make it work. Oh, the five best players aren't here. Let's just get three and
I
we'll
mean,
figure it out.
it's the lack of. I mean, just from a pure basketball sense, the masses told everyone, told them that this wasn't going to work. Like the
Right.
minute they made that trade, I remember I was at the gym and I was like, well, they're going to be bounced in the first round if they even make the playoffs. They got swept. I'm starting to think that the shine of KD is really wearing off because you can't win a championship with him without Steph Curry. Like it's very
And
clear. Go ahead.
I was riding for KD back then because I'm like, KD had Steph, he had Clay, but he was the best player on the floor. By far, the ball went to his hands when it was crunch time and he did work. He deserved the MVP. Now I'm like, they use KD to win the press conference. They use KD to sell the tickets. That's basically what they're doing now. We bring in KD. Everybody says, oh, whatever team he's on in five, blah, blah, blah. Then they find out that KD needs the ball 80% of the time. And if he doesn't have it, the team doesn't do well. People are starting to notice this now. And the Suns learned about it a lot bit too late. I feel kind of bad for the Suns because didn't they have Mikal Bridges?
I mean, it's like you had a team that literally won 61 games and had the first overall seed 2 years ago. You had look like basketball now is having a very solid starting five, right?
Right.
And that's why I like the Knicks because they have a very solid roster of guys that could beat you in multiple ways, right? The Suns had a very good starting lineup with Aiton, with Crowder, with Bridges, with Chris Paul, and with Devin Booker.
And
Devin
Booker,
Booker was the guy, but you had a great collection of talent around them, and thus they were able to be successful. But
it was
no,
beautiful. It was
right?
a beautiful setup that they had. And a player like Jay Crowder, that's that 3 and D guy I was talking about that the Knicks need. They need somebody like that as their four. Well, I mean the Sixers. That's the four guy that they need. And the Suns, it was beautiful, and they just blew it up.
Yeah, they did, and I think they've really ruined their opportunity. But if you're the Suns, you know you can't trade Bradley Beal. Do you trade KD if you can? I say so. What say you?
I say so. I mean, why not? The thing is, way back in the day, I remember reading this book about Jackie Robinson, and it was this baseball player Hank Greenberg. He had hit like 45 home runs, and Branch Rickey was like, "We're gonna let you go," and everybody was like, "Well, he hit 45 home runs," and he was like, "Well, we finished in last place anyway, right?" So what's the point? That's how I feel
Thanks.
like with KD. It's like sure, he's an awesome player, but they got swept in the first round with him. So why not let him go? Why
I
not
mean,
get what you can for him and kind of build around until you get that team like you had when you had Booker and Paul and Crowder and Aiden. Get back to that because that's what you need in 2024, 25. You said it perfectly. You need a solid starting five. You
yeah,
don't need the best five in the world, but you need a solid starting five that can all pull together and do what they need to do to get the job done. And
exactly,
the the
exactly. I
Suns are
mean,
so far away from that right now.
that's why I think the Denver Nuggets, like last year, they if they had a better bench, they would be the NBA champions. I
Hmm.
really think so. I don't think it was because of that starting five. Like it was like that bench. Like they didn't have Bruce Brown, they didn't have Jeff Green. Those two guys were insanely important. I'll tell you what, if KCP comes back, they're able to improve that bench in the offseason. I expect them to be back there right in the mix of the finals. I mean, they literally had everything, man, with Gordon, with Michael Porter Jr., who I think should leave Denver within the next 2 years and come to LA, man. Come to LA, man. You can
Mm,
right. He could be. I'm telling you, he's a guy that's in the shadows. Right. It was like James Harden when he went to Houston, he flourished.
he
I
balled
really
out.
think that. Right. I think that Michael Porter Jr. Say if they win the title next year, you already got 2 rings. You have nothing left to prove. Go out and see if you can be your own person, man. Why not?
Hmm.
What do you got? What do you got to lose for that? Always
I like
interesting.
that.
Yeah, no doubt. Sir, Stanley Cup. I know we're huge hockey fans here. I'm such a huge hockey fan, but we have the title Death Tax
Yeah.
and
Yep.
Sports Stanley
Sure.
Cup Finals. So we got to talk a little bit of hockey. We'll talk on it a little bit, but first off, who's your hockey team if you have
Yeah. I don't know.
one? Okay.
No, the thing about hockey is it's kind of like Major League Soccer to me. I didn't have a Major League Soccer preference until we got FC Cincinnati. Now I'm
Okay.
well read up on MLS. Like I can pretty much
Okay.
tell you all you need to know. Since we don't
Okay.
have like a hockey team, we have one in Columbus, but it's Columbus. Since we don't have one here, I don't really pay too much attention to it. Um, Playoff hockey is different though. I'll watch some playoff hockey. It's just different. You're on the edge of your seat the entire time watching the playoff hockey game. And when it goes to overtime, you can't leave. Like you have to sit there and watch it because things just happen so quickly. It's a great game. Like I really like playoff hockey. So
Oh,
I've
definitely.
kind of been engaged in it.
Yeah, man. And like I don't watch, like I'm a Bruins fan, but there's so many sports that go on. It's like when hockey starts, it's in the midst of football season. Then you
Hmm.
got the NBA season that starts, and then college football, the playoffs, and yada 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 yada. But all I'm going to say on this, because I definitely want to chop it up on some Ohio State football with you before we conclude.
Hmm.
A hell of a series. Went all the way to Game 7. I was really rooting for Edmonton because I'm still salty that the Panthers beat my Bruins. Um, man, it was just a hell of a series, man. Hell of a
It
series. It
was.
was,
I was watching the first. I didn't watch the first three games because I'm like, oh, this is a blowout. Once I
facts.
saw that Edmonton won Game 5, I'm like, I'm here for this. And Game 7, they just looked so gassed. Those final 3 or 4 minutes, they had chance after chance, but they just looked so tired. And
Oh
it's
yeah,
because it's so hard in any sport, especially something as like as physical as hockey. It's really hard to come back from an 0-3 deficit. People have done it before, but it's really difficult. And my hats off to Edmonton. They played really, really hard, but just couldn't close it out.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And Connor McDavid won MVP of the playoffs, and still, didn't win. It's like Jerry West won the NBA Finals MVP, and they
Yeah.
still lost. May he rest in
That,
peace. The logo. May,
RIP.
we'll pour some for the homies not here. I don't have any. All I got is a bottle of water, and I don't drink,
Ah,
so
you do what
I
you
guess
got to do.
yeah, we'll pour some for the homie. But that was enough on Stanley Cup. That was so fun. Congratulations, Florida Panthers. You won. Before we conclude, man, I want to talk about these Buckeyes, man, because you're a fellow Buckeye fan. Hopefully, I have every plan of going to that Michigan Ohio State football game this season. So if you want to
Yeah.
go, let me know. I'm going. Like that is the one thing I have to do. Bucket list. But talking about your how we feeling about these Buckeyes, man, especially this QB room. Talk to me.
Looky here, man. I'm ready for the season to start. I was ready after the debacle that was the Cotton Bowl. I was ready then. But once those transfers hit, and once like a whole lot of the players came back, Jack Sawyer, JT came back, pretty much the entire defensive backfield came back. Travion Henderson came back. I'm like, look, let's play ball. Let's do this. The
Yeah.
biggest pickup, and a lot of people are going to sleep on this, Chip Kelly. He is what he's going to do. He's going to make Ohio State look like what they did with Urban Meyer. And a lot of people sleep on this. As good as the wide receivers were in Urban Meyer's tenure, as good as the QBs were, that offensive line and those running backs were monsters. And he made sure run, 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 pass, run, pass, run, pass, run, 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 pass, pass. And that's what Chip Kelly's going to do. It's going to be beautiful to see them just run the ball down the throats of everybody this year. I
Wow.
cannot wait.
And the crazy thing is, my guy, is that like this team is probably one of the best, most deep, most loaded teams that we've had probably since that 2014 national championship, man. I
Mhm.
mean, literally, when you have your third string quarterback Cardell Jones lead you to a national title, That's what this team reminds me of because we literally have three quarterbacks that could literally lead us. Last season was an anomaly because I really think that an old boy that we had quarterback just didn't have the upside that we're normally accustomed to when you're replacing like a CJ Stroud, Dwayne Haskins, may he rest in peace.
Hmm.
So it's like, with this Big Ten, man, do we feel that this is a national? Do we think we're undefeated? Do we think we go national title? Do we see loss at all?
There may be a loss because we're looking at a whole new college football playoff scenario and all of that. There may be a stumble here or there. Um, I keep telling people this isn't national championship or bust season. This is
Really,
beat Michigan or bust season. That's what this is.
really,
I mean,
really.
you want the national title, you really do, but you can't lose to Michigan 4 times in a row. You just can't. I
I
mean,
just
you just can't.
I don't know, man. I just think that we had gotten that freshman transfer from Alabama. The
Yeah.
receivers that we got that homeboy. I cannot remember his name. He's a wide receiver. He's a freshman. He's like 6'3", running a sub 4.5 40. I mean,
Jeremiah Smith?
yeah, like the
Yeah.
running backs that we have coming back, the defensive backs that we have, and especially like with 12 teams now
Mhm.
making it.
Like I
The more,
like I feel like I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry about that.
no, you good,
But
man. Go ahead.
like I feel like you want that title because it's the first one with this 12 team format and it's really there for the taking. You can take two losses and you'll still probably make the college football playoff. But losing to Michigan again with a roster this stacked, it would be soul crushing. It
Oh,
really would.
he would be done. And I tell you what, Chip Kelly would eventually take over. I think Chip Kelly would take over as head coach if Ryan Day was
Yes,
fired.
indeed. Urban Meyer
And
might start nudging people and be like, hey, you know what? Let me get one more shot.
I wouldn't be mad at it. I mean, I think Urban Meyer's better for college, but I think he kind of he wears his welcome out. But a guy like Chip Kelly, I would be okay with replacing Ryan Day. I would be.
Hmm.
He is a big name that has played that's coached a lot of football and he knows offenses with that Ohio State brand behind him. I think they
Hmm.
can do something.
Yep. I mean, I still feel like Ryan Day is the one. He's done so well with this program. His only stumble is Michigan. It reminds me when I was in college so much because we were in really tight with the football players, and this is like late '90s, early 2000s, and we could not beat Michigan. We would be in class joking with the fellas like, "Look, is this the year? Yeah, yeah, we got this." Couldn't happen.
Nope.
I think we beat them once while I was on campus, man. It was tough. It was tough sledding.
No, that sucks, man. That sucks. That sucks. That sucks. Yeah, man. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where this one goes.
Yeah.
Final topic, man. Let's see. I forgot what was the other topic I had planned on this one. WNBA. Do we feel before we close out? Do we feel the Fever versus Sky? Do we feel that this Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese? Do we feel that this is the rivalry that the WNBA wanted?
Yeah. 100%. It not only wanted, but 100% needed. I'm sure the executives were next to each other, high fiving, like, yes, yes. Because what it does is it gets those eyeballs there. And once you get the eyeballs there, you can see Andrew Reese and Caitlin Clark go against each other, even though they don't play the same position at all. So they're not going against each other. But
Right.
now you can see somebody like Kelsey Mitchell, who has been a baller for years. She went to school here in Cincinnati and was like all world. Then went to Ohio State and was all world, broke NCAA records, and nobody really heard of her for real. Now she's playing as the Caitlin Clark, and now people know who she is. So the good thing about this rivalry is that all the people around them can start to get lifted up. I feel like it's kind of like that bird magic effect because
Mhm.
let my uncles tell it and them, they're like, nobody cared about the NBA until they came into the fold. I'm like, really? They're like, look, man, the NBA was on tape delay for the finals. I'm like, what? That was a thing? Like, yeah, man, we ain't watched that live. I'm like, whoa. And now we're watching people get paid like millions and billions of dollars. So I don't know if that's
Okay.
happening in the WNBA. Like, I'm not saying that,
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
about
no,
all that, but hey,
yeah, yeah. I'm not. I think the Caitlin Clark effect um, is there. It's there.
mhm.
That's all I'll say. I'm not
Yeah,
the biggest fan. I'm really am not the biggest Caitlin Clark fan. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. But I think the W. Listen, all I'm saying
nah,
is
nah, cause I get it. Like I understand what you're saying.
I can't really say how I
Like
feel. I can't really say how I feel on our show because we will lose viewers. So I can't really say how I feel. I can say your brother, you understand. You know. That's all I'm gonna say. But the WNBA is getting a little bit too ahead of itself because they're gonna have another loss of $50 million, and they're trying so
yeah,
hard to cut themselves from the hand that feeds you. They want to be separate from the NBA, but I'm like, the NBA is your cash cow. You're not making any money, and it's just like, dog, like economies of scale, people. I mean, I've been to a lot of WNBA games. I bought merchandise, but damn, y'all talking about wanting to have your own media rights and all of that. I don't know
like
what I'm.
I put it to you like this: there has to be an event or some type of rivalry that helps the WNBA start on that path. For the NBA, it was Bird and Magic. So I think what the WNBA is thinking, I think they're thinking like we need something to hitch our wagon to kind of help us start to get to that level. And I feel like they think this is it. It's not the worst strategy. I mean, I can think of worse options for them. The thing about it is right now they're only 12 teams. And we watched the Sky and the Fever play 3 times in the same month.
Yeah, it's
at
too
some,
much. For
at some point you have to get those other players that have been balling for so long without a spotlight. You have to get the light on them too, because you need all of the players to help you get there, not just a couple, especially because of that deficit you're talking about.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely. If I'm
so
a marketer, if I'm a marketer, I work with the NCAA women's basketball and I create a very structured marketing plan for all the other players that are coming up, right? Like Juju Watkins,
mhm,
what's her face, homegirl, Paige Buchers. Like there
yeah,
are a lot of really talented ladies. I think
hmm,
Juju's over better than Clayton Clark. I already said it. I mean, I'm just gonna say it now. Juju is the truth, and she's only a freshman.
hmm,
Um, they need that like the WNBA and NCAA women's basketball committee. They need to work together and creating a multi-parallel like marketing plan, but then also not having the WNBA draft literally 2 weeks after the finals, and then they start playing games like 3 weeks after that because you need that they're not these ladies are not set up to succeed.
hmm,
Like they're not, and I know that they're trying to have a compact schedule because they're not trying to compete with the NFL and the start of the NBA. But
right.
I really think they need to change the way they go about like doing these games. And I do agree though that once when they expand teams, I think it could really, really, really pay dividends.
Hmm. That'll help out a lot because we're seeing a lot of the same matchups over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's very
And it
common.
happens in the NBA sometimes because you'll have like those back to backs and things like that. But
Yeah,
you have 30 teams. The talent's a little bit diluted because there's 30 teams, but you have a lot of different markets to choose from and a lot of people playing ball.
exactly.
It's
Exactly. It's a very good product.
mm.
Very good product. Very good product. Any before we conclude, man, want to keep this, wanted to keep this under an hour, but any hot takes you got, man?
um let me see.
It could be anything. It could be anything. It could even be pop culture. It could be anything.
I got two hot takes then.
Okay.
One, I don't get the hype about watching the NBA draft or any draft live. Like, I do not understand what compels people to drive for hours, rent out hotel rooms, stand in the cold or like the blazing sun to root for people you may not know. Like, you're cheering for that eighth round draft pick. Like, yeah, you don't know this guy. Like, like
Well,
I don't get the appeal of going to a draft live. I would like people to tell me what they get out of that. I really don't get it.
I think it's for the experience. I mean, I've always wanted to go to one. That's on the bucket list. I got like a whole 100 like lists of sporting things I want to do. But what's your second take?
Kendrick Lamar is the GOAT. the
Did you see
the
that
absolute
Forbes top 50 rapping list? Such a
yeah.
joke. But
Like he's the absolute GOAT. He just made one of the top three diss records of all time.
they're not like
And I'm telling you, you will hear that song all summer. I'm not looking forward to going back to class in August because I know all of the kids are gonna make TikToks to it, and I gotta listen to it on there. I'm already not looking forward to this.
it's going to
But
be so fun.
for any Drake stands out there, sorry.
Drake lost. Drake lost. I got one for you. Nepotism within the black community is great. And what I mean by that is Bronny James. I have no problem with Bronny James being drafted because of his father's name. I have no issue with it.
Hey,
Nepotism is go ahead.
let me tell you something. I wish he's getting drafted higher.
I want him to be a first round pick.
That would be awesome. I love hearing people go like, I can't believe it. He's only here because of his father. Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. I
That's
have no problem with
exactly
it.
it. This man is in the family business.
I mean, like how like they say, oh, well, he should stay. Da, 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 da. I'm like, how many times have we seen people outside of our community become legacy admissions into some of the greatest schools with 2.5 GPAs, getting into
Right.
Harvard because their dad knew the dean, or or like Steve Joe from freaking Montana could get into Princeton because his dad knew the dean from back when they were buddies at Harvard. Like nepotism happens all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to go on a whole soliloquy, but I feel like we as people within the black community should also benefit from it, even if it's
Right.
not me. I have no issue with it. I love it.
Yeah, because life is really about making connections. It's really about what you know and who you know. It's a little bit of both. You have to be good enough to know somebody that can help you get in the front door. Everybody gets a little bit of help. I think people don't understand that. People are like, I did it on my own. Somebody helped you get through that door. And in our community, we don't have enough people in positions to help us get through that door. Bronny does. So I'm not mad at all. Like I hope he gets drafted 16th or 19th or something like that. I
Yeah,
can't wait.
yeah. I mean, he's got talent. I mean, like but the thing is, it's like it's not like he's not talented, right? And the guy
Mhm.
came from had a heart defect, but he's explosive. He's quick. I think in the right situation, he can succeed. But I'm looking forward to it. But
He's gonna need
anyway,
a little bit of time, but I think
we'll
he can
see.
get there.
We'll
Mhm.
see. All I'm going to say is that you had this cat that was drafted third overall. This dude from Kentucky. I can't remember
Reed
his name.
Shepard.
Yeah, man, that
Yeah.
dude's a sniper. But that's all he is. I'm like,
hmm
you mean to tell me that uh, he's better than
He
Bronny?
he was all three. I don't know if he was a lot of D, but he was like all three.
I mean, it's like,
I
would
mean,
you rather have? I'm just saying, like, there was the other guy from UConn that was drafted fourth after him. He's 6'5". I'm like,
that was Stephon Castle, a
yeah,
beast. Like,
right. I'm like,
yeah,
dude was the starter on a national championship squad. You got a guy who's just shooting threes. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, Sixers got Jared McClain. All right, that's a good pickup.
that
He
could
paints
help
his
them out.
nails. Nice painting the nails. I don't know, but
Eh,
whatever.
what are you
Yeah.
gonna
But,
do?
yeah, man. But hey, sir, it was great chopping it up with you, man. You want to tell everyone out there in the Twitter sphere what you got going on, your projects, all that?
Yes, indeed. You got a Cincy fan talking with LP. That's me, LP. I'm up every Tuesday night, talking about this and that, mostly sports, but I dip off into a lot of other things as well. So feel free to check me out wherever you get your podcast at. It's a good time. So
All right,
check
sounds
me
good,
out.
man. I love it. And let me know, man. I'd love to come on and chop it up with you sometime. You let me know. You let me
All right,
know when
that'd be
you're ready
good,
to let
man.
me
Be
know.
happy to have you. It'd be a
Hey,
lot of
you let
fun.
me know, man. You
Um,
let me know.
we'll dip into some weird spaces. I'm warning you now. Like
Hey, that's fine. That's
we
fine.
we we go
I love it.
scriptless. So
Let's go. Let's do it. I'm ready. Who's
all
ready?
right.
Yeah, man. And dude, I just got this jersey, this Negro Leagues baseball jersey,
Was
like
that the
a couple
Homestead
months
one?
ago. Yeah, no, it's just like all the different like Negro League teams. Like we got like the Grays, which was a fun fact, is the name of my little league team in Baltimore, the
Oh,
Gardenville
okay.
Grays. You can't even see it, but anyway. You
I
get what
need
I'm
the
saying?
link,
But
man. I like that.
yeah, man. Yeah, I'll definitely send it to you. It's pretty dope. Got to wear this. It's I like the Negro League jerseys, man. They're
Okay,
flying. But sir,
give me an extra medium or something.
no doubt, I got you covered, buddy. I got you covered. But Mr. LP, my friend, I know you've had a lot of life changes. You had a lot going on, man. But we're praying for you as always. You're always welcome on the show whenever, and we really mean it, man. You like family. You've always supported us from the very beginning, before we even on YouTube. So anytime you want to come on, whatever we can do to support, man, we definitely appreciate you.
I appreciate it, man. Loving how the show growing up, man. This is amazing. I love to see it.
Hey, man, we trying. We trying. You were there at the 50th. You were at the 50th episode. We're at the 100th. I'm trying to think. We're at the
Yep.
100th. Okay.
Yeah, I'm at the
Yeah.
100.
So we'll have a 150 special probably before the end of the year. We'll definitely invite you to that, and then before you know, we'll be at 200. We'll be at 200.
Yeah.
Before you.
Make sure I get my party hat for that one, man.
No doubt, man. But all right, man. To all of our listeners, we appreciate all the love and support per usual. Check us out on DTS Sports 33 on Twitter. We're on Facebook, all that good stuff. Mr. LP, tip my head off to you. Let's see what our Buckeyes do. Let's get it done. And peace and love, everybody. Until next time.
Peace. Take it easy.
Later.